Okay, so Tom Brady and Bill Belichick had a phone conversation. I heard about this yesterday, but apparently it it didn't play out. I guess the way someone didn't want it to play out. So in those words, it didn't go well or whatever. But Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have had a long and storied history, and I believe that Tom Brady expects a certain level of intimacy, and not in that weird way. I'm talking intimacy like when two people, like when I have intimacy with people that I care about, like family. You know, I'm able to open up to them about certain things. They're able to open up to me about certain things. We are able to console each other. We are able to have fun with one another. We're able to be around each other and just relax. It's a relaxed environment. And I'm pretty sure Tom Brady was hoping for some kind of intimate moment. For the first time in 20 years, he was hoping for some kind of intimate moment that just didn't come. And I've said this before, man. I think Tom Brady is being really ridiculous about this. He knows Bill Belichick probably better than anyone professionally does know Bill Belichick at this point. And for him to expect that, and this is just it's an one, it's an opinion, and two, it's just me assuming, it's an assumption. All right, for Tom Brady to expect that moment, those moments he has with Robert Kraft or anybody else in the organization, for him to expect that from Bill Belichick, I think is unfair. Because at this point, we all know the kind of personality this guy has, the kind of relationship that he has built with players over the years, and it has been nothing but strictly business. I mean, we on on one hand can count the number of times we actually seen Bill Belichick smile or make a joke or something like that. Like, he doesn't seem like the warm and fuzzy type, but I guess Tom would think that, you know, with all the stuff that they've been through, with all the years and success that they have together, that would be different. But, you know, so let's get to it.
What does this tell you?
It tells me, Skip, if we're to believe what these reports are saying, that we're still heading for an exit. Skip, I don't know what Tom was expecting. Tom has known this man for 20 years. The one thing that we do know, Coach Belichick treats first guy the same as he treats the 53rd guy. And plus, if all of a sudden he'd have got on the phone, hey, Tom, how are you? How are the wife and kids? You got any vacation time coming up soon? Yeah, you earned it. If I'm Tom Brady and I hear Coach Belichick acting like that, considering he's never said this before probably, I'm going to be leery. I'm like, oh, you sneaky, you know what?
I think it's a little inappropriate to assume that Bill Belichick has never inquired about Brady's family, has never inquired about, you know, Brady's life. I mean, how could you play or, you know, and or coach, you know, with a person for 20 years and y'all never had any personal conversations whatsoever? I mean, these are two guys on video. We've seen it on video. These are two guys that will sit in a room together and they would have deep football conversations. And I've said this before, they seem like the same person, man. They seem like they're, what do you call it, kindred spirits. Like, they just seem like they mesh well together so well. I doubt that in the 20 years that they have played and coached with each other, sorry, I doubt that they have never had a conversation about family or anything like that. Even if it's just one time, I doubt that it has never happened. I think that's an over-exaggeration. But I do think that Belichick keeps his relationship with the players relatively businesslike. You probably will never see any of his players go to his house for dinner. You'll probably never see anything like that. Them hanging out on the town, you won't see, and probably won't see anything like that. But, you know.
So Coach Belichick is being Coach Belichick. And so what did he think? Did Tom get on the phone and he thought Coach Belichick was going, Tom, you know what? Take some time away. Take the wife on a vacation. This thing's going to work out. We got $70 million guaranteed, 2 years. Everything's going to take care of itself. Was that what he was expecting, Skip? Because you know one thing about Coach Belichick. When it comes to football is business. And he treats it as such. So if Tom was expecting this nostalgic moment, that's not Coach Belichick. You know that. Everybody knows that. So I don't really know what Tom was expecting if these reports are to be true. And
it's like, and I said this while I was watching this the first time, it's almost like a relationship between a father and a son, where the father is more focused on working, more focused on the business side of his life, more focused on making sure that he's a success in whatever field he is, or wherever field he is in, making sure that he is the best. And that kind of focus and that kind of drive kind of takes away from your family, takes away from your children. And this almost feels like a relationship between a son that is constantly wondering why the father does not show him any kind of affection, any kind of love in a sense. Like this feels like Tom Brady wonders why we've been together for so long. How come this guy still treats me as a guy that just got here last year? How come he still treats me like a stranger? How come he still treats me like somebody that he has no knowledge of personally? Because I'm pretty sure that they have had some personal connection over 20 years. There's no way. There's no fucking way you're going to tell me that they have never had a conversation. They have never sat in the same room with each other and just sat there or talked or whatever. You can't tell me that and expect me to believe it. I would have to hear it from them, and I would have to see proof that that is how it happens. But that's what it strikes me as. It strikes me as a father-son relationship that is so void of love and compassion and stuff like that. And Brady strikes me as, right now, he strikes me as a kid that's pining for the affection of his father.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, Coach Belichick is basically saying, Tom, the mere fact that they're willing to let you go test the market should tell you something, Skip.
All it means is Tom wants a certain number, I'm pretty sure. They don't want to pay him that number. So they're going to let him go out there, see if he can find a team that's willing to give him what he wants. And they're going to keep their offer at whatever, because I'm pretty sure, you can't sit there and tell me that Belichick did not offer Brady a contract. He offered him something. It probably just is along the lines of what Brady is normally getting. He probably offered him something. And if Brady wants more money, he's going to let Brady test the market. If he signs with another team, that's fine. They'll probably go out, draft another quarterback, or sign one out of free agency, or trade for one. Okay? But if Brady doesn't get signed, his value is going to have to come down in whatever he wants, whatever he desires. And if it comes down to the point where it's matching the New England Patriots offer, they're going to sign him. I think there's like a 50-50 chance that Brady returns, because there's a chance he'll get signed by somebody in free agency, but there's a chance that he won't, and he'll go back to New England. Because if you're going to sit there and tell me the Chargers is offering him 5 years, $30 million, $32 million, or no, not 5 years, 3 years, $30 million. And then the Patriots has an offer similar to that. You mean to tell me he's going to pick the Chargers over New England? Now, he could, if he felt disrespected in any way. And I could see a reason for him to feel some type of way. He could sign somewhere else out of spite. But if Brady wants to succeed, I don't see him succeeding anywhere but New England. Like, I just don't. I mean, I think it takes time. You have to get acclimated to a system. You have to get used to the teammates. You have to learn the ins and outs. It's a process. It's not something where you, like, the quarterback position is a position that is so delicate. You can't just thrust somebody into that situation and expect them to be successful immediately. I mean, I'm not saying it has never happened. I'm just saying it is really hard to do, and only special players can do it. But the age is the huge question for Brady because he's 42. He's 42 years old. So
the Cowboys are not going to let Dak test the market. They're going to slap that tag on him. You let somebody test the market, you're subjecting yourself up for something that, because somebody can throw a ton of money at it. You Skip, it's easy to pull weeds out of a garden than it is to uproot a tree.
But Belichick Brady isn't going to go anywhere unless it's a championship contender that can give him the best opportunity to win. Because I don't care what anybody says. Brady might want money, but he wants to win a hell of a lot more. He will not go to a team that is not built to win. He will not go to a team. I don't care how much they're offering him. He will not go to a team that's not built to win.
Now, Tom Brady's foundation is in New England, and someone knows it's going to take a boatload of money, more than the Patriots are going to be willing to give, to get him out of that situation. So, for me, Skip, this tells me what I've said all along, that Coach Belichick is like, can take it or leave it. I believe this was a courtesy gesture. Mr. Kraft probably wants Tom back a lot more, a hell of a lot more than Coach Belichick. And this conversation, this call was probably more out of courtesy than out of necessity. But if these reports are to be believed and be true, Skip, I don't know what Tom was expecting from Coach Belichick at this juncture.
I disagree with that takeaway before I get to mine. I believe Tom Brady, and you can call him naive and cliched and lame and corny and all those things, but he's got those things going on in him to the point I do believe, and I think Belichick did make the call.
And I think it's kind of hypocritical that Shannon Sharp calls Tom Brady naive when he himself fell under some kind of the same situation he found himself in Denver, where he even came out and said it, where he said that he was playing for the Denver Broncos and they had this backup tight end. I remember Byron Chamberlain, but I'd never watched them play. But they had Byron Chamberlain as the backup tight end. Gary Kubiak, who was the offensive coordinator at the time, Gary Kubiak drew up a play, and he was talking about how X and Y, X was it X that was supposed to be the blocker or the decoy, and Y was supposed to be the route ran for the tight end that was going to receive the pass, and they put, I'm just going to use X as the decoy. They put Shannon as the decoy when he was usually the receiver, and they put Byron Chamberlain at receiver. And he felt like, I've been here longer. I have way more under my belt than this kid does, and you're going to use me as the decoy? He said, don't ever do that again. So it's funny that he calls Tom Brady naive, and he makes fun of Brady expecting a certain level of respect that he himself battled with. And he even said that's what drove me out of Denver and into Baltimore. He even said this, so I find it hypocritical that he would stand on that soapbox and call Tom Brady naive or simple or whatever it is he called him, because Tom Brady expects a certain level of intimacy between him and the franchise that he has helped win titles. I'm sorry. I think that's hypocritical.
Him, if I read this correctly, I believe when Tom answered, there was a part of him, maybe a pretty large part of him, the hopeful Tom part of him, not the psycho Tom that we see when he goes crazy angry on the field. I'm talking about the guy who lives somewhat in a fairy tale world. The guy who plays with his kids in the leaves and puts it on Instagram. That guy.
Okay.
Look, they're making fun right now, and I'm not saying it's harmful or anything. I'm just saying Tom Brady's life right now is a fairy tale. You're talking about a kid. When he got into the league, he didn't have the body type of a football player. He didn't have the athletic ability of a football player. He didn't have the face of a supermodel that makes women, oh my God, I love Tom Brady. He didn't have all that. He was this big, lanky kid with a fucking pot belly who didn't have the greatest arm, but didn't have the greatest looks. He didn't look like a starting quarterback. But the one thing that separated him from everybody else was he was hungry. And I wrote this as a quote on one video that I was watching. It was a Tom Brady compilation video. And I said, Ray Lewis, and these are not his exact words, but I'm paraphrasing, all right? Ray Lewis said, in all of his years in Baltimore at practice that he has spent there, no one has ever beat him to the ball, because he may not be the most talented, he may not be the most athletic, but he has his hunger and his heart is what drives him to be better than everybody else out there. And he said in the 16 years that he's played in Baltimore, nobody has ever beat him to the ball. And Tom Brady has that same level of commitment to the game. Sure, he lives in a fairy tale, because he goes from that to being this. Now he's a he's a very attractive man who women swoon over. I mean, he has a beautiful supermodel wife. He apparently has really great kids. I mean, his life right now is fucking perfect. He's one of the greatest players in NFL history. I mean, his life is a fucking fairy tale. Why wouldn't he think that he lives in a fairy tale when his life is a fairy tale? His life is like those movies. Those movies where everything works out in the end. Where everything, like all the bullshit you go through throughout the movie, you always come out on top. It's like a fucking Die Hard movie. His life is like the Die Hard ending, where you dealt with all this shit throughout the movie, and you pretty much come out as the winner. I'm just saying, like, his life is a fairy tale. Why wouldn't he think that it is?
I believe that guy was hoping, maybe against hope, that for the first time in 20 years, they would have a good conversation. They would have a warm conversation. They would have a fuzzy one. And that for the first time ever, he actually had leverage over his coach. Enough so.
Tom Brady doesn't have leverage. And the reason why is because of his age. Tom Brady has less than 5 years. If that. Like, it may not even be that long. Tom Brady has less than 5 years worth of playing time, worth of ability to play the game at somewhat of a decent level. All right, he has less than 5 years. His career is going to end far before Belichick's career ends. This is the advantage that coaches have over players, because eventually players are gone. This is what I don't know. This is why I'm saying I think coaches are so much more valuable. Especially when you have a great one. Coaches are so much more valuable because they don't have to subject themselves to the dangers of playing the game. But they are just as important to the game. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Brady has the leverage. I don't think he has any leverage. This is why I think he's hoping that Belichick will throw him a fucking bone. After all the years that he has sacrificed for them, for their success, I think, I'm sorry if y'all can hear that. That's a fucking leaf blower. I'm sorry. What the fuck was I saying? I'm pretty sure Brady is thinking like, look, I've sacrificed a lot for y'all. I need y'all to do the same for me. I want to play till I'm 45. This is the only place I know that I can play until I'm 45 at somewhat of a high level. I need you to look out for me. And Kraft, like they keep saying, Kraft is willing to do that. Belichick is the one that's not willing to do it. And this is the problem. This is where the problem comes in. Belichick is he's the director of player operations. So he dictates who leaves, he dictates who stays, he dictates where the money is spent, he dictates all that. Now the owner could come in and he could be like, look, I want to keep this guy, whoever it is. He can do that because he's the owner. I mean, what the fuck are you going to tell the boss? You're going to tell the owner of the company, no, listen, you're not going to do that. Now, I believe Belichick can tell Kraft no. But when it comes to Tom Brady, because Kraft looks at Brady like he's a son or a grandson, and he loves him a lot, because if it wasn't for Brady, just like if it wasn't for Belichick, that team would not be worth as much as it is right now. They did not experience the success until Belichick was signed and until they drafted Brady. They did not experience the success that they have now. So he feels like he owes something to Brady. Sorry, to Brady and Belichick. But Brady is in particular because that's what I'm talking about. All right. Kraft is willing to extend himself for Brady because he probably loves this dude so much. Belichick is the one that doesn't, and this is what's confusing Brady because they've been together for so long, and he's like, look, I've looked out for you for as long as I could. You can't look out for me. Like, this is what's confusing him. I'm really sorry about the leaf blower.
That he was willing to be flattered by or honored by some warmth back from the guy who's been his business partner.
Yeah.
Joined at the hip for 20 years. That's a long time, man. And that's a lot of glory that you experienced together. That's 9 Super Bowls and 6 wins that could have been more.
Right.
I'm sorry, they're right by my window with that. Sorry.
And apparently, according to this definitive report in the Boston Herald, it did not go well, right? And that's the first from a source. And by the way, I'm going to qualify this report. Karen Garigian.
Skip all that shit.
And that certainly does not help this situation. So let's give it some credibility, okay? Because this is news.
I like that.
Okay? Thank you. And now...
This is what I hate, man. Look, because if for anybody that doesn't know, if you should go watch the video. But he was talking about how this Karen lady who wrote the report, she's been with this team since 2007, which is like 12, 13 years, right? I'm pretty sure Tom Curran has been with the team, covering the team longer, but apparently they can't trust Tom Curran's style of reporting anymore, so they got to trust her. And then Jenny over there, I like that. You only like that because they're fucking. Oh my god, I hate this shit, bro.
We step back, and what's the upshot, Mr. Sharp? Behold, the biggest story in NFL history just got launched. It's what we've been talking about for weeks, and it just launched.
This is not the biggest story in NFL history. I could think of like 5 stories in the past 20 years that's bigger than this one. This is not the biggest story coming out of New England or coming out of anything dealing with the people involved here is Brady's retirement, Belichick's retirement. If Robert Kraft decides he wants to sell the team, those stories in the future are more, bigger stories, are more attractive stories than Brady might leave.
Because Belichick just launched it because it didn't go well in that conversation. So all of a sudden, it's looking highly likely he's out, right? Because that's what the head coach wants. The only qualifier here, the only caveat is this is a football chain of command phone call that got made. This is from the head coach who controls football operations. But you know and I know there's one other man who has the final say on anything New England Patriots, right?
Yeah.
The buck finally stops on the desk of Robert Kraft.
Especially.
And I think, look, man, when it comes to this Tom Brady situation, I think Bill Belichick has his hands tied because I don't disagree with what Belichick is doing. He wants to move on. Now, if you would have asked me when Jimmy Garoppolo was in New England, did I agree with them moving on from Brady for Garoppolo? I didn't have the faith in Garoppolo that apparently everybody else did. I still don't. And it's looking like a lot of people are losing that faith in Jimmy Garoppolo being able to get it done. All right? But I didn't think that Garoppolo was ready to take over. Like, if you're going to move on from Brady, you would have to be sure that whoever you're replacing him with is ready to take over. Dude, those are huge boots to fill. Okay? I don't know. You run the risk of losing a locker room if you get rid of Brady for a rookie or a second-year guy or a third-year guy. Whoever, all right? Whatever Garoppolo was at that time, you run the risk of losing the locker room because playing for Jimmy Garoppolo is a lot different than playing for Tom Brady. So,
It comes to Tom Brady. Everything else he let Coach Belichick.
Okay, you got it. But this is the biggest thing that has ever happened in the history of the Patriots is that Tom Brady is on the edge of unrestricted free agency. He's about to hit the market. And I'm telling you, I'm predicting to you, it's going to be Brady mania.
And if you see who I just, they asked me did I agree with Shannon Sharp. I'm pretty sure you saw. I said no. I don't agree with either one of them, to be honest. I think that if I'm not even going. I've already fucking gave my opinions on this shit. I'm not gonna recycle them again. All right, let's get back to the video.
Firestorm of teams saying we want to be the lucky team that the GOAT chooses to turn into an instant Super Bowl contender. And I'm guessing that Robert Kraft, unless he has been won completely over by Belichick's logic about this, because I'm with you, Belichick is.
Kraft has to understand at some point you're going to have to move on from Brady, because either he's going to leave the team or he's going to retire. So at some point you have to be prepared to move on. Right now it feels like Kraft is holding on to something, and he could just be holding on to Brady, man, because I'm pretty sure that he genuinely loves this dude. I'm pretty sure that they are the ones that have dinner together. They are the ones that probably go on vacations together. They are the ones that spend probably the most amount of time together. They are probably the ones that have the better relationship, I'm pretty sure. Like a deeper relationship than what, anything resembling deep relationship to Bill Belichick. I'm being honest. But he has to be ready to move on. You got to stop looking at it like this is Tom. He's like a son to me. And look at it as I have a franchise that's worth a lot of money. And the reason why it's worth a lot of money is because I made some of the smartest decisions that you can make as an owner.
Said no. Belichick has decided 2 years ago. That's enough.
Yes.
And you could argue it's because he believes he is completely hit the wall, washed up as he approaches 43. Or you can argue, look, I've earned the right after 20 years with this guy. I just want to go show you I can do it without him.
That's the more reasonable line of thinking that I think Belichick is going through.
What led me to believe that Tom Brady would not finish his career there is that when they started talking about this, Tom started talking about this, playing until he was 45.
Yep.
He said that Mr. Kraft would co-sign it. The one person that never said anything about him playing the 45 was Coach Belichick. But I want to ask you this one. You said the article said it didn't get off on the right foot. It didn't start on a good note. For who? It might have been a perfect note for Coach Belichick. I guess it didn't get off on a positive.
See, and this is what I don't like. They're assuming a lot. Like, if I assume anything, it's probably one assumption here, maybe two. But I'm not assuming the entire fucking conversation. I am not assuming, and I feel like they're assuming they're assuming they know how the conversation went. Well, there are different outcomes for both Shannon and Skip. They believe they know how the conversation went. Nobody knows how that conversation went. Nobody knows. But, that's, I guess that's sports media for you. But I'm done, man. I'm done with this.